Okay, let's dive into this dossier. We're going to break this down into 6 crucial layers today. 1. The architecture of the void. 2. Kinetic mastery. 3. Domestic deceptions. 4. Simulation of power. 5. The glitch cycle. And finally, number 6. The final trick. Let's get right into it. Section 1. Architecture of the void. We are exploring the hidden geography.
If you think the map you see on your screen is all there is, you are missing half the world. According to the Architect's Guide, Brookhaven is basically riddled with secret locations. We are talking about literal voids that you can only access if you know exactly where to push. There are massive, uncharted areas hidden behind completely solid walls. There are rooms buried deep under normal buildings, and tiny spaces concealed entirely inside, just innocuous everyday objects. And players will spend hours, literally hours, just glitching into these spaces using highly specific tool combinations. For example, to get into the bank vault's unmapped underbelly, a player might use a very specific sleeping bag placement. This forces the game's physics to push their avatar right through the solid floorboards. Why go through all this effort? Well, because these hidden zones are loaded with Easter eggs, and they give players a massive, unseen advantage in their roleplay scenarios. You essentially become a ghost in the machine, right? Able to observe and influence everything without ever being seen.
Moving on to Section 2, Kinetic Mastery. This is all about weaponizing vehicle physics.
And this brilliantly illustrates the massive divide between intended design and player manipulation. Intended driving is, well, it's just simple A to B transit. You get in a car, you drive down the street, you park. Easy. But what the players actually do is engage in severe physics exploits. Through pure, unadulterated trial and error, players have figured out how to use hyper-specific speed combinations, bizarre ramp placements, and terrain glitches to completely weaponize their vehicles. I mean, they aren't driving anymore, they are launching. Imagine a scenario where a player is cornered by rivals in a tense roleplay situation. Instead of running on foot, they hop into a truck, execute a rapid suspension glitch against a nearby curb, and catapult their entire vehicle 3 stories straight up, landing perfectly on the roof of the hospital to make an instant getaway. The developers absolutely never designed the cars to do this, but the community just engineered a way anyway. It's wild.
All right, Section 3, Domestic Deceptions. Let's talk about the truth hidden inside the houses.
Every single house in this game looks like a perfectly normal, quiet suburban home on the outside, but structurally, they are anomalies just begging to be cracked open. Let's define this real quick. Domestic deception is the strategic use of furniture placement and camera glitches to uncover unintended secret rooms and interactive spaces. You see, the insides of these houses are absolutely packed with secret doors and blind spots that standard gameplay completely ignores. By taking advantage of the game's collision mesh, players are literally breaking the rules of architecture. For instance, by forcing the game's camera against a specific bookshelf while simultaneously triggering a sit animation, a player can suddenly just drop right through the geometry into a textured void beneath the living room. This is a real game changer. It's the absolute birthplace of underground roleplay. We are talking about heavily fortified secret bases, clandestine meetings, and completely invisible escape routes built right under the noses of everyone else on the server, who just think it's a normal Tuesday in the suburbs.
Which brings us to Section 4, Simulation of Power, Faking Authority in a Sandbox World. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is what happens when you combine this hidden knowledge with other players. Real admin powers, like the ability to genuinely control the server, are locked away from normal users, obviously. So what do the players do? They artificially generate it. It's genius. Players methodically construct this illusion using 3 distinct methods. First up, fake authority. Players will stack specific emotes and tools in a highly coordinated way to look like they are assuming direct administrative control over the game. Next, we have weather hacks, and this is where it gets highly cinematic. A player might time a lightning strike emote perfectly, right as they walk through a doorway, to create this incredibly dramatic entrance that completely fools everyone else into thinking they just triggered a massive server-wide event. And finally, prop manipulation. Players will meticulously arrange in-game items to block off public areas, creating restricted access and this false sense of exclusivity. They are basically directing a movie in real time, and the other players on the server don't even realize they've just been cast as extras. Section 5, The Glitch Cycle, the endless war between developers and players.
All of this manipulation relies on exploiting the game's code, which creates this living ecosystem of unintended mechanics. It is a relentless cat-and-mouse 3-step loop. Step 1, break. Players use incredibly precise timing and movement to clip through walls and access restricted zones. Step 2, fix. The developers spot the exploit on a forum or a video somewhere, and they roll out a quick patch to close the hole. But then comes step 3, rediscover. And this is where the community truly shines. The player base acts like this massive, decentralized intelligence network. Literally, within hours of a patch, someone finds a new hole in the code, and almost instantly thousands of players are exploiting it all over again. Break, fix, rediscover. The cycle never ends, and the speed at which this community adapts is absolutely staggering.
And what fuels this relentless cycle? Well, it's the raw materials of the game itself. Brookhaven frequently drops updates that are just loaded with secret combinations, unlisted animations, and hidden props. And finding these isn't spelled out in any tutorial or patch notes. It requires a massive collective obsession. Players will systematically click every single pixel on a newly added prop, testing it from dozens of angles, mashing animations just to see if a wall dissolves or floor gives way. It's an exhaustive trial and error process. You really have to understand that to these players, this isn't considered cheating. Not at all. It is fundamentally understanding the system better and faster than anyone else, even the people who originally built it.
Let's move to section 6 and see how this all builds to the final trick: psychological and social mastery.
Because once you master the map, the vehicles, the houses, and the code, the only thing left to master is the human element. The contrast here is the true genius of the game. On one side, you have mechanical exploits. That's a lone hacker in the dark, finding glitches, clipping through walls, and launching cars. That's impressive, for sure, but it's solitary. The true endgame of Brookhaven is social engineering, controlling the narrative together. This is where the game transcends its own programming. The real magic isn't the glitch itself. It is the storytelling that the glitch enables. The transition from a lone explorer to a social puppet master is what makes this ecosystem so incredibly powerful. Players take everything they've learned and use it to execute high-level social tactics. They influence other players using targeted voice chat and hyper-specific outfits. They create massive, powerful factions that dictate the entire flow of the server. Let me give you a concrete example of how crazy this gets. A coordinated faction might use a weather glitch to darken the sky, block off major city streets with a literal wall of prop barriers, and then use voice chat to orchestrate a massive fake emergency scenario. I'm talking like a citywide police chase or a biohazard lockdown. They convince dozens of casual players that an official in-game event is happening, but it is entirely manufactured by the players themselves. They completely control the overarching storylines. They aren't just playing a game anymore. They are the true architects of the server, bending every other player to their creative will. So the crucial point is this: when you layer it all together, the uncharted hidden locations, the extreme physics manipulation, the flawlessly simulated power, the relentless glitch cycle, and this incredible social engineering stacked on top of each other, Brookhaven stops being just a simple Roblox game. It becomes a living, breathing world shaped entirely by the ingenuity of its players. Let's remember what's at stake here and why we started this explainer. The original architect lost a channel with 12 million subscribers just for documenting this. These aren't just kids messing around. This is a high-stakes, meticulously structured ecosystem. It is a massive, hidden depth that the casual player, who is just logging in for the first time to adopt a pet, completely and utterly misses.
Which leaves us with one final, absolutely fascinating question. In a digital world completely built on mechanical glitches, secret codes, and high-level social manipulation, who is really playing who? Are the developers making a game for the players, or the players making a game out of the developers? Just let that sink in for a second. That wraps up our explainer on the true architecture of Brookhaven. If you want to keep peeling back the layers of the digital worlds around us, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We have so much more to uncover.